Lucas Whittaker had crossed lines he couldn't uncross. Each day brought him deeper into the abyss, each choice pulling him farther from the man he once was. Kessler and Hayes had become a fortress of shadows, where whispers lingered in hallways and eyes watched him from every corner. The demons in the building no longer regarded him with curiosity but with suspicion, and, in some cases, outright fear. He'd become something different, not fully human, not entirely demon. And the demons knew he held knowledge, perhaps even power, that made him a threat. His defiance in the last confrontation with Radcliffe had set off a silent war within the corporate labyrinth. Lucas was playing a dangerous game, where each step could mean his end. Radcliffe hadn't confronted him again directly, but Lucas felt his presence lurking, his influence like a poison in the air. Other entities in the company began to close in around him, watching his every move, their twisted faces and inhuman eyes following him as he navigated through the oppressive hallways. He could feel them trying to break him down, to erode the fragile sense of self he clung to. But Lucas was driven by a single goal: to end the demon's reign within Kessler and Hayes. The tome he'd uncovered hinted at an ultimate ritual, one that could disrupt the dark power binding the demons to this world. He knew it was dangerous, likely suicidal, but he couldn't look back now. There was no going back to the life he'd once had. The night of the ritual, he waited until the office was empty. The clock ticked past midnight as he gathered the final materials: a set of black candles, shards of mirror glass, and a vial of blood he'd extracted from his own veins. He drew a complex circle on the floor with symbols from the tome, his hands shaking as he worked, knowing the power he was about to invoke was beyond anything he'd tried before. As he lit the candles and began the incantation, the air around him grew thick and cold. Shadows writhed, gathering around the edges of the circle, swirling like a dark fog. He could feel them watching, drawn by the ritual. He continued to chant, his voice trembling but resolute, each word summoning a force that rippled through his body, drawing him deeper into the darkness. Then, in the midst of his incantation, he heard it, a slow, deliberate clap. He looked up to see Radcliffe standing in the doorway, his face twisted into a sneer, eyes glowing with malice. "Impressive, Lucas," Radcliffe said, his voice dripping with mockery. "I didn't think you had the nerve." Lucas met his gaze, refusing to show weakness. "I'm not afraid of you." Radcliffe laughed, a sound that echoed unnaturally, as if multiple voices spoke in unison. "You should be." With a flick of his hand, Radcliffe disrupted the ritual circle. The candles extinguished, the symbols faded, and the dark energy Lucas had summoned dissipated into the air. His stomach clenched as he felt the power slip from his grasp. "You think you can disrupt us?" Radcliffe's voice was low, menacing. "You're nothing, Lucas. Just a failed experiment, a novelty we've grown tired of." But Lucas wasn't done yet. He lunged at Radcliffe, fueled by desperation, but the demon was faster. Radcliffe seized him by the throat, lifting him off his feet, his grip like iron. "You should have embraced your role, Lucas," Radcliffe hissed, his eyes burning with contempt. "You could have had power, purpose. But instead, you choose resistance." As he struggled against Radcliffe's grip, Lucas felt the darkness within him stir. It surged through his veins, a primal force that he hadn't yet learned to control. But now, with his life slipping away, he let it consume him. His vision blurred, and he felt his own form shift, his skin flickering, his senses sharpening. The air around him grew thick with a sinister energy, and he felt his strength return. He lashed out, breaking free from Radcliffe's hold, landing in a crouch, his vision tinged with a strange red hue. The shadows around him seemed to move in response, coiling and twisting as though they were extensions of his own will. Radcliffe took a step back, a glimmer of fear in his eyes. "What have you become?" Lucas didn't answer. He felt the darkness surging within him, a chaotic power that threatened to overtake him. He lunged at Radcliffe, channeling the raw energy, feeling it course through his limbs as he struck. Radcliffe staggered back, his face contorted in pain. But the victory was short-lived. Radcliffe straightened, a dark smile spreading across his face as he began to chant in a guttural, ancient language. The room around them seemed to shift, the walls melting away, replaced by a dark, endless void. They stood in a realm beyond the physical, a place of pure darkness where the rules of reality no longer applied. Lucas could feel his strength waning, the dark energy within him struggling to maintain form in this twisted dimension. Radcliffe's laughter echoed around him, the sound filling the void, pressing down on him like a weight. "You think you can fight me here, in my domain?" Radcliffe taunted. "This is where we thrive, Lucas. You are nothing but prey here." The shadows closed in, wrapping around Lucas like a suffocating shroud. He fought against them, but they were relentless, pulling him deeper into the void. He could feel his mind slipping, his sense of self dissolving under the weight of the darkness. In his final moments, he thought of the life he'd once had, the ordinary existence he'd left behind. The memories felt distant, like fragments of a dream, but they were all he had left. He clung to them, using them as an anchor, refusing to let the darkness claim him completely. But it was no use. The void consumed him, piece by piece, until there was nothing left but an empty shell, a hollow vessel. Radcliffe watched as the last remnants of Lucas's humanity faded away, a satisfied smile on his face. Lucas had been a thorn in his side, an annoyance that had dared to challenge him. But now, he was gone. A shadow lost in the abyss, another soul claimed by the darkness. And as Radcliffe turned and walked away, he knew that no one would remember Lucas Whitaker. His rebellion, his struggle, would fade into obscurity, leaving no trace. The world would go on, blissfully unaware of the horrors lurking just beneath the surface, the demons that walked among them, waiting for their next victim. And in the depths of the void, Lucas's soul drifted, a silent scream lost in the endless darkness, his defiance crushed, his humanity erased.